welcome to Tech Spotlight by GetLinks. As part of the Remote Job Festival 2020, we're providing companies with a platform to share new and exciting technology, innovations, or insights into their business that perhaps people didn't know or expect from their company. Remote Job Fest is Thailand's first work-from-home job fair, running from 1st of May to 31st of May. We are raising awareness for remote work opportunities, using our platform and network to support Thai workers to find alternative income during this COVID-19. My name is June Naripats. I'm the Business Director at GetLinks, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Kun Supparat, Chief Digital Officer at Frasers Property Thailand. Thank you for joining us, Kun Supparat.
Thank you for having me, June. Appreciate it.
So maybe, Kun Supparat, can you introduce a little bit more about yourself and your background for the audience?
Sure. So my name is Supparat. I hold a couple of responsibilities within the group. One key responsibility that I really enjoy is the digital side of things. So I'm the Chief Digital Officer, and I drive, the innovation agenda for Frasers Property Thailand. Mm-hmm. And I'm also the Chief Executive Officer on that for the data center business that we do as well, under a different joint venture between Frasers Property Thailand and STT Media, global data centers headquartered in Singapore on that. So I'm kind of a tech background, tech management background coming into this role.
Okay, that's good to know. So maybe can you share a little bit more about Fraser Property business in Thailand?
Sure. So Frasers Property, as a group, our headquarter actually is based in Singapore on that. Globally, Frasers Property is in 25 different countries across about 70 plus cities on that. But specifically for Frasers Property here in Thailand, we are basically the largest asset player for the industrial asset class. By industrial, that's kind of the warehouse, the factories. For the residential side, we're in the top 5 in terms of residential developers. Mm-hmm. And we are now the first property developer investing in the largest data center in Thailand as well on that. So there's a tech element to that. In addition to that, that's our main kind of core business, we are part of the bigger TCC group of companies. And the TCC group of companies is split between 5 different units. Obviously, we're in the real estate sector. In addition to that, there's the Thai Bev group of companies that does the food and beverage. Okay. There's also the BJC group, which is Big C, for example. That's under that umbrella. Mm-hmm. We also have a financial services arm within the TCC group, which is Southeast Insurance, or in Thai, it's Akane Pakan Thai. Okay. That's also on the group as well. And we also have an agricultural group of companies within TCC group as well, under the brand of Patheon as well on that. So wide range of portfolio within the bigger TCC group on that.
Wow, this is very interesting to know. So being part of such a large group, can you share your initial decision to join with Frasers Property Thailand?
Sure. So prior to joining Fraser, I come from a financial services background. Mm-hmm. So I was running teams around the world on that. And then I entered, the data center and cloud business on that. Mm-hmm. So coming from the financial services background, it's a very regulated environment, right? Very license-based environment. Mm-hmm. Then going to the cloud background and the data center background, it's very horizontal, which means that we saw a lot of the different upcoming opportunities. Mm-hmm. So 5 years ago, a lot of the key opportunities from a tech standpoint, especially in Thailand, were obviously e-commerce, then eventually the fintech space. Okay. Then obviously more talking about content creation, and there's still ongoing talk about IoT. So when I decided to move to my next move, which ended up in Frasers Property, I asked myself a couple of questions, right? Number one is, where's the upcoming industry? Mm-hmm. And from a property segment, globally, the property sector is worth about $27 trillion, property itself, which is the largest sector in the world. It's larger than stock exchanges, it's larger than gold, commodities, and so on and so forth. Relative to the big five, so if you take Facebook, Google, Google, Amazon, Apple, and you combine their revenue together in 1 year, their combined revenue is roughly about a little bit less than 1 trillion.
Wow.
But the property sector is 27 trillion in valuation. Okay. So I wanted to be in a sector that has growth, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, from a tech perspective, the property sector only invests less than 1% in technology.
Okay.
And the reason is, again, because it's property, right? You stay very still and the valuation goes up.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen initial use cases like Airbnb is, I think, a B2C use case that people see starting to disrupt to a certain extent the hospitality business. I felt this was an area that was up and coming, all right? So that's number one. That's part of the reason I moved. Number two, property, in my perspective, is very unique from an innovation standpoint compared to industries that have a lot of licensing. So banks and telecoms and energy, for example. So it's hard to do any innovation or creativity in a short period of time if you're kind of constrained with regulatory requirements. And the third part I felt from a technology standpoint, given there has been not so much investment, less than 1%, in a good positive way, there's no technical debt that you have to work on the legacy systems like other industries on that. So my career move was basically moving to an industry that was growing, where there is money to be made. Obviously, you don't want to be an industry that's growing, but there's no profits. You want to be an industry that's growing and is profitable, number one.
Very good advice.
Right? A lot of people move the up and coming industries, but they're not profitable. There's a lot of top line, but you're not making any money. This is an industry that is profitable, along with a great desire to start to get into the digital footprint. And there's no technical debt that holds you back on that. So that's my main reason for moving to Frasers Property Thailand.
Okay, I think that advice that you just gave was excellent. You should always choose industries that is growing as well as making profits.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that is excellent advice. Maybe another question would be on what are the major milestones or major projects for Frasers Property Thailand in 2020?
Sure. So basically, I've been on the road now. This is my 7th month. And basically, we started with zero. So I was the first staff there. And I was given the mandate to set up the innovation team, which is the wallpaper you see in the back, right? So after that, our first key tangible, measurable innovation. So innovation is split between 3 different categories. The first category is operational improvement. The second category is adjacent. And the third category is disrupt. Innovation programs that from reference cases that do well spend about 70% of their time and resources first on operational improvement areas. About another 10 to 15, 15 to 20 you could argue on adjacent, and about 10% on disrupt. So we've been focusing our initial efforts on the operational improvement. And what we've done basically is that we've acquired data from our real estate. Part of the reason, again, that real estate is very interesting is the cost of data acquisition. So in e-commerce, as you know, data acquisition is done through subsidies, right? And you don't make a lot of money, but you acquire the customer. In property or property tech, one building, let's say like a Samyang building or a Park Venture building, has at least 500 CCTVs, okay? Which is acquiring data, streaming, or snapshots all the time. We took that data that was never monetized at all, which is basically free data, you could argue. And we actually captured the number of vehicles coming into our industrial park, okay? So we did an OCR AI recognition of the license plates coming in, and we're able to detect that. Based on that, we're able now to, we're on track, if we want to, reduce the number of dependencies or the costs associated with security guards, which is an estimate of 30% cost reduction on that. In addition to that, we're now collecting data, obviously on the vehicles, but the type of vehicles coming in, which then allows us to move from operational improvement and in terms of that sector of innovation into the adjacent sector, which now we're working with part of the bigger group, a PCC group, to explore, still very early, if we want to do insurance tech. So let's say, Kunjun, you're driving to the office and you're driving, let's say you park your car, let's say at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying insurance every day, right? But
Yes.
it's given your car is parked in isolation. Should you be paying insurance while it's being parked there? If it's protected and you're comfortable with that, for example. So the key milestone to answer your question is that we've been able to reduce costs, but at the same time, we've opened a door up to an adjacent market that we could do as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final piece that we're doing now, we kicked off, is that obviously with the COVID situation,
Mm-hmm.
COVID has completely changed the way real estate works. Okay, so real estate traditionally is split between 5 different asset classes. So where you're living right now in your home is obviously the residential area. Our office is the commercial area. Where you go shopping is retail.
Retail.
When you have the warehouse factories, that's the industrial. And the 5th one is hospitalities.
Okay.
What's happened with COVID is that these 5 asset classes have been integrated or combined. So your home residential has also become your commercial, your office as well. And you could argue if you're a B2B merchant, you might use it as a warehouse, a mini warehouse in a way. So it's overlapping, right? So that has changed the perspective and therefore called upon the innovation team to say, what is the new retail experience? Which we believe, especially in Thailand, yes, e-commerce is a norm, but everybody doesn't want to stay home, right? People still want to go out to the shopping malls to eat. Yes, you can eat at home, but it's a lifestyle. You want to be at home and you want to be outside as well. But the question is now, what does that O2O integration look like with the epidemic without a vaccine, having been found yet, for example? And we're doing a lot of things there, still very early, which we are looking at robotics as well, and looking at, again, at the CCTV cameras for data acquisition and strategy of that. So to answer your question, we've done cost savings 30%. We've opened up the opportunity for the business to enter an insurtech platform with a low cost of data acquisition, which is, again, very unique to all property players that have CCTV versus e-commerce players or other technology players on that. And now we are making sure that we incorporate the circumstance of COVID into how we actually evolve the experience of our potential customers and our own staff within our own real estate properties as well. So that's been kind of the last 6 to 7 months.
Okay. So those happen within the pre-COVID and the midst of COVID. So are there any major technology or innovations in COVID that you've also decided to push through for this year?
Yes. So we are exploring two major projects at this point, right? So the pain point, obviously, June, if you go back to a retail mall, you want at least clarity, right? Is this shopping mall safe in the sense of how large is the crowd, right? For example, you want that visibility. So from that pain point, obviously, we are looking at CCTVs to do geofencing to detect the density of people within certain areas so that you can decide, let's say you're on the ground floor, but you want to go to the food court area. Okay. You want visibility without perhaps not entering the food court to see the density of that time. At the same time, you may want to choose the time of day you want to enter the food court, and therefore we can do more density management per se. Okay. At the same time, let's say you want to go shopping at your favorite retail store. Okay. You may, again, because of COVID, you still want to go, you still want to see the product, but you want limited time. Okay. We are then looking at putting on virtual reality on top of the retail space. So you look in, you go to the store, where are the potential goods and services, which racks have the discounts that you could be interested in, right? On top of that journey, we feel that you may not want to actually go to the check-in or the cashier to pay for it. You can still order online, and we are looking and exploring concepts. All these are concepts at this point in mall delivery. All right, so we would deliver that to your car, all right? So you don't have to touch anything, for example. So it gives you the engaging experience per se, meaning that you're still immersed in the physical space. You're able to see, evaluate the product itself, but you don't necessarily have to engage with other people to the level of tolerance that you feel uncomfortable with within the retail store on that. So we're trying to bring that data insight to you and put it under your control so that you can determine how much level of engagement that you feel comfortable with Yeah.
Wow.
So these are conceptual ideations that we're doing at the moment. We use a lot of design thinking
Okay.
to formulate all these different ideas and then go to a prototyping phase.
Okay. I really like the idea. So I'm actually a fan of this and I definitely would support it if it actually
Oh,
happens.
excellent. Awesome. We'll put you on the UAT testing.
Thank you. So I understand that apart from having one hat as the Chief Digital Officer at Fraser Property Thailand, you are also
Yes.
the CEO for ST Telemedia Data Center Thailand, which is the joint venture between Fraser Property Thailand and ST Telemedia Data Center that you mentioned. So
Yes.
would you be able to share a little bit more about this joint venture? Because I understand that there are a few major projects that you're embarking on with this CEO hat of this new joint.
Yes. That's a good question, June. So let me maybe explain a little bit to the audience what is the relationship between a property developer and why would a property get into the data center business and what is the data center business? Okay. So going back to the different 5 asset classes, right, that we talked about, certain property is very, has the right criteria to build a condominium, for example. Certain properties have the right criteria to build a retail or a neighborhood. But certain land property has a specific criteria to build a data center. Okay, so a data center's requirement is very similar in a very high level to building an embassy, right? It had to be a very secure environment. So from a property standpoint, it was seen as a business opportunity. So if there's land that's available and in a secure location, perhaps the best tenant of the land is a data center provider, right? But at the same time, on the Fraser side, obviously Fraser is not a data center operator. So it made sense to join hands with somebody that's well respected within the industry and globally. Thus, the joint venture came along with ST Telemedia and Global Data Centers. But what is a data center and why is this investment happening now? And what's my role in it? So great, great reference case, right? COVID again. With COVID, everybody's online.
Yes.
A lot of e-commerce players, so this is public data. Shopee, I think, grew over 300% during COVID, for example. Facebook in Thailand, these are numbers for Thailand, grew about 82% of growth. Very similar for Line and other players as well. But all that data, right, needs to be stored somewhere, right? It needs to be stored in the data center on that. So the data center we're building in Thailand is the largest data center. And it is the largest data by size and also by power. In the data center business, we measure it by the number of megawatts. So we are building a 40 megawatt data center. To put into perspective, Thailand, completely as of today, all the data centers combined have a combined power of 74 megawatts. We're building a 40 megawatt. So we're building beyond 50% of the current supply within Thailand.
Wow.
And the reason we're doing that is an easy comparison is Don Mueang and Suvarnabhumi, right? Thailand's a great hub, but before Suvarnabhumi was created, there was a lot of traffic coming into Don Mueang, right? That's why they expanded to Suvarnabhumi, right? And hopefully they'll do further expansions to take the incoming flights coming in. The flights are the equivalent of the data that's being generated, right? Which we've seen a massive increase during COVID. And we anticipate that this will continue. Again, another great reference case is Facebook. So Bangkok is #1 in the world for the number of active Facebook users, for example. So there's a huge demand for traffic coming into the country. So that's why we decided to go into the data center business. So my role there is to actually set up the business from scratch and to grow the business on that, all right? So that's also why I have 2 hats, both on the business side, but also both on the innovation side. So I do enjoy it.
Okay. So actually I have to say that I think overall this is something which is very, very, very new for me and also something that I've learned a lot in this past 10-15 minutes. And I think what you're doing with Fraser Property Thailand is amazing. I think it's very life-changing and it's a very new innovation, and at the same time it's also helping society adapt during the COVID period, which we don't know when it's going to end. So I have to say, is there anything else you want to share with our audiences to maybe allow them to, a few last words?
Sure. I think the key thing I want to really share with the audience of GetLinks is, for obviously I want to commend GetLinks for your thought leadership to also add value back to the current, I guess, for a sad reason, the employment crisis that's happening on that. So I think the key thing I just really want to add to everybody at this is really from a mindset standpoint, right? As technology continues to evolve, the business landscape, COVID, as you pointed out, there's no clear line of sight yet in terms of a cure. The most important thing is to have hope and faith. Don't lose that. And with hope and faith, hopefully that will drive you to increase your focus on new skills and new knowledge. But obviously look out for the upcoming industries, right? Like what we're doing in property tech. Look at what we're doing in the data center space and see how you can repivot or relearn new knowledge and new skills, because these are the industries that we feel are resilient, and these are the industries we feel is future-proof. With COVID, the data center business, to be honest with you, is benefiting. The data business is benefiting from COVID because more people are online. So as long as you start to anticipate, I think, and adapt, you'll be fine. So I think those are kind of the mindset things I kind of want to leave your audience with.
Okay. Last but not least, again, I understand that because of the fact that you're the heroes, Fraser Property Thailand is one of the heroes of the 2020 COVID. You're also hiring because of the various projects you're still embarking on. So can you share a little bit more about one or two positions that you're hiring, so that we can also leave a link at the bottom of this for people interested to connect with Fraser and also help out society for those who are unemployed or those who are still looking for employment?
Definitely. Thank you, Jim, for the opportunity. So our main openings at the moment are going to be related to the data center business. So our data center will be built and ready by end this year, but we need people to operate it, right? It's the equivalent of building a plane, but we need people to fly the plane, right? So we need engineers, what we call our data service engineers. Okay, that's more of the industry terminology. But what is it in reality? If you open up the hood, we need somebody with an electrical or mechanical engineering background, right? These are the people that 24/7 are operating the data center. Obviously, it's shift, it's on-site, it's planned work, operating the largest data center in Thailand with a set of technology that nobody else has in Thailand. We have 10 plus roles that we're looking to hire. We are open for recruitment as we speak. We're looking to close the recruitment by August because we're starting to go live with customers coming in January next year, which means that we need the team on board the next 3-4 months, and then we'll put the team on our onboarding training in terms of our final preparation for actually opening for customers to come into the data center. So 10 plus roles, data center engineering, mechanical, electrical engineering background.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So thank you very much to Fraser Property Thailand, and thank you very much, Captain Supparat, for helping out Thai society during this COVID and still actively recruiting. So in the link below, we'll point out how to get to Fraser for all these available jobs.
Awesome. Thank you.
ขอบคุณมากเลยนะ
ครั
คะ
บยินดีครับขอบคุณจุด and thank you GetLinks ครับ